my great honor to introduce Professor Dr. Sylvia Ng, an Associate Professor of Marketing and Faculty Head for Action Learning at Asia School of Business. She is also an International Faculty Fellow and Research Affiliate at MIT Sloan. Professor Sylvia has played a pivotal role in guiding the research team comprised of 3 team members, and we are delighted to have her here with us today.
Thank you, Joanna, for inviting me over, and thank you, everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce the next speaker. We have Victor from the Asia School of Business, MBA class of 2024, who will present his action learning project on behalf of his team as part of the Moving Hearts initiative. So it's titled Crafting a Blueprint for Our Net Zero Digital Out-of-Home Media in Asia. Now, action learning is a rigorous and intensive experiential flagship program that equips our students with the necessary skills to solve very complex business problems, leveraging on our very own unique problem-solving approach. Now, the team has conducted 15 interviews with advertising and media industry leaders, resulting in recommendations for sustainability and net zero advertising. I'm incredibly proud of what our students have achieved in this project together in collaboration with Moving Walls. So thank you so much, sir. More importantly, we are extremely grateful to Moving Walls for giving us the opportunity to co-create on such an important topic, allowing us to partake in the incredible and also impactful journey of moving this industry towards sustainable practices. So thank you so much. And for inviting, of course, our students to present their findings. So without further ado, let's welcome our speaker, Victor, with a very warm round of applause. Thank you so much.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Professor Sylvia. So today, me and Mustabeen is actually one of the group members is joining online. So there are two of us. So first, I would like to thank ASB, especially the Action Learning team, Srikan and Moving Walls, to give us the opportunity to be part of this project to learn about sustainable out-of-home advertising. It has been a fun and interesting space to explore. The project was carried out by a group of 3, Mustabeen, Zamari, and myself, Victor, with the guidance of our faculty advisor, Prof. Iren, and business coach, Ms. Nirmala, and of course, support from Moving Walls and the Action Learning teams. We did primary and secondary research where we had 14 in-depth interviews that Moving Walls were absolutely lovely to arrange for us. For that, we used a mix of judgment and convenience sampling. We had a lot of C-suite interviews, management level interviews from different stakeholders all across brands, media owner, media agency, and industry expert. We gone through over 63 studies and data repositories, both qualitative and quantitative analysis to inform the insights we're getting from these interviews. Let's start by trying to identify what the broader trend in the industry is and see if we can size the market to understand what pie is at stake here. Broadly speaking, we see certain trend in the industry emerging, and the message is pretty clear. The message is that net zero is here to stay. It's not just a fact. You see, brands have started committing to net zero. 50 plus brands have already signed to add net zero pledge. WFA Planet Pledge, which the CMO lead, had 22 national advertiser associations rally behind it. Big agencies are racing to set standard. JSCDX unveiled their reverse kind of strategy in 2023. Group M unveiled their carbon calculator. And you can see them racing to build these capabilities to take on this net zero challenge. Progress has been slow, but sure. As one of the report of the WFS Planet Pledge, 97% of companies worldwide have publicly declared the intent to adopt some kind of net zero strategy or goal, and 30% report already having made some progress towards it. In fact, if you look at WPP status as 2022, in their ESG report, they're saying that they already achieved 28% Scope 1 and Scope 2 reduction, and they already transfer 83% to renewable energy. This is real, and net zero is here to stay. From there, if we kind of try to identify what the market size at stake here, for this, we refer to a lot of data from Accenture and Statista, and we just try to kind of funnel down to what would an at net zero affected digital OOH market look like in 2030 in Asia Pacific. So we start at the top. In 2023, the global ad spend was around 822 billion. 4% of that of total went to total outdoor, and that amounted to 35 billion. If you look at the split of digital among that, 37% was DOOH, which around 13 billion. And if you can break down that further by region, you can see that APEC account for 45%, that is 13 billion. Of that 13 billion, which is 6 billion. So APEC itself was a 6 billion market approximately for digital OOH in 2033. And then, if you see the trend of growth we're expecting both the pie and slice itself to grow. So APEC is going to contribute more of the market in the future in 2030. And the overall pie of the market is going to grow. We are expecting the total pie to grow around 19.7 billion in 2033, and APEC account 9.4 billion for that. And here we kind of had to do quantitative analysis and try to assume what portion of that 9.4 billion would be at stake for net zero. So what we did, we took this conservative metric that Accenture had published in 2023, and we assumed that it will not change up to 2030. So in 2023, Accenture said that 7% of their big brands are on track to net zero. So assuming that conservatively, this number doesn't increase over time, which it most certainly will, but even if it doesn't increase, if we multiply that 9.4 billion, we're expecting for 2030, by these two metrics, we are talking about 700 million to 3.5 billion contestable space in APEC for 2030. Now, if we move on to some insights that we gotten from the interviews. So first, let's take a look at what the brands are saying. We observe two broad trends in the market coming up. Our colleagues in Singapore have shared with us numerous times that beach recreations have already started to include ESG requirements. So you can see the brand clients are looking to us. Which agency have this on their radar, have some kind of initiative going on. We're also hearing that early mover brands are looking for credible ESG initiative. These are some of the concerns that the brands are saying. They're saying that net zero advertising needs to be affordable. So there's an entry barrier that we need to consider when we're thinking about what kind of net zero ad product. They say that marketing effectiveness will always be key. So this is non-negotiable. So campaign KPI will always take precedence over green impact. The risk of greenwashing allegation or any kind of exposure to greenwashing is a big concern for this brand. So credible and robust verification is very important. And it must be something, any initiative or product that offer has to be non-disruptive and easy to implement. If we scoot over the agency's perspective, we see that there's some very interesting pickups here. One is that big agencies saying that their biggest client, who are the early mover in the net zero space, they're already committing to somewhere to 5 to 10% premium or showing willingness to pay to 5 to 10% premium on their current advertising fee. This is what this agency representatives are telling us. There is no exact data on that. It's too early for that. But if we can take this as kind of as an indication that even if these numbers are not specific, there is some intent to pay for a green premium. Another thing that we are seeing across the board is that big agencies are racing to develop their calculator. One of our favorite lines from Group M, most recent ESG report, we given a rise to a calculator arms race with little accurate measurement. And that kind of tells you that everybody is caring to build their own calculators. This is something to identify as important. One more thing across the board that we are seeing is people recognize this is not just about creating net zero or reducing emission within digital out-of-home advertising. But this is also a very important platform for awareness. So media for awareness is a major piece. And other agencies seem to be saying that they're willing to collaborate on that. And they also seem to talking about the needing a media lobby. This agency coming together and cooperating instead of competing. And that kind of tells us the overarching trend that you see this big agency moving and committing to this net zero. And it indicates that something is emerging. If we look at the media owner's perspective, the bottom line from this would be that upstream pressure is absolutely crucial to mobilize them, because independent media owners are saying that they're reluctant to upgrade any physical infrastructure, which is expensive unless they're enforced, unless they are regulated. And they are also expressing that it's very difficult to get proper saving or reduction from independent initiative, like one media owner upgrading their inventory on site. Instead, they are saying like a centralized initiative, like a clean power grid. Something is more cost efficient in trying to help them reduce their emission. They are also expressing a lot of interest in using the inventory as an awareness generation platform. So they want to collaborate with organizations on creating educational content, on donating airtime like moving hearts. They're more interested in that versus emission reduction. One interesting thing that we notice is that there is a sensitivity in terms of declaring their own carbon footprint. So they're not going to be absolutely happy to declare their carbon emission, because they also want to kind of avoid adding additional dimension of competition among other owners. All of this kind of point to that one thing, that upstream pressure that trickles down from the brand clients themselves or government regulation is important to mobilize this media owner. We also gotten to look some of the imaging green tech. We had the chance to visit Sharp office in Singapore. Two technologies that came to our radar are E-Ink Spectra 6 and reflective LEDs. The E-Ink Spectra 6 is in prototype phase right now. It requires zero energy to continuously display static images, and priced at around 1.2 times higher than standard LED that is currently used in the market. Reflective LED is priced at 1.5 to 2 times higher comparing to the standard LED in the market right now, but it uses 90% less energy. And this image on the screen, some kind show the use of reflective sunlight as backlight to save energy. These are some of the technologies that will be coming up. The last piece of the puzzle, what the consultants and experts are saying. So we got to talk with Scoop 3 and R3, both consultants in the space, right? They are trying to help agency to standardize their net zero strategy and technology. Like, for example, Scoop 3, through their service, they offer a plug-in algorithm that you can technically plug into your system, and then you can start calculating and tracking your emission. They offer a bunch of features like one view dashboard and benchmark data. I think our takeaway from here that it is important to have companies to kickstart their net zero journey. A cost and benefit analysis are needed to understand exactly what benefit they can bring into the table. Overall, the experts are saying, one, this is still in early stage in the industry, and there is a lack of centralized, cohesive industry voice. And two, brands may be interested to invest if they are given a proper, viable plug-and-play solutions. So these are all our findings for the project. Thank you.
Thank you again to Victor, as well as Professor Sylvia Ng and the entire ASB research team as well for the dedications that they put into this project.